The initiator of systematic action. Individual initiative is indispensable for the progress of the cause. Calling on every believer to respond to Abdu'l-Baha's divine plan, Shoghi Effendi underscores the privilege to initiate, promote, and consolidate within the limits fixed by the administrative principles of the faith any activity he or she deems fit to undertake for the furtherance of the plan. He also states of the individual, without his support, at once wholehearted, continuous, and generous, every measure adopted and every plan formulated by the body which acts as the national representative of the community to which he belongs is foredoomed to failure. The world center of the faith itself is paralyzed if such a support on the part of the rank and file of the community is denied it. The author of the divine plan himself is impeded in his purpose if the proper instruments for the execution of his design are lacking. When opportunities for action are seized, the individual effort is characterized by courage, creativity, lofty aims, and enthusiasm. Shoghi Effendi notes the essential qualities of audacity, of consecration, of tenacity, of self-renunciation, and unstinted devotion, which prompted Baha'i pioneers to abandon their homes and forsake their all, and scatter over the surface of the globe, and hoist in its uttermost corners the triumphant banner of Baha'u'llah. Similarly, the Universal House of Justice praises a boldness of creativity and a tenacity that have resonated in the worldwide proclamation of the faith and the promotion of its vital interests. In repeated appeals, the individual believer is exhorted to waste no time and forfeit no further opportunity. So important is determined and creative initiative, Abdu'l-Baha explains, that it should be taught from childhood. They must be constantly encouraged and made eager to gain all the summits of human accomplishment, so that from their earliest years they will be taught to have high aims, to conduct themselves well, to be chaste, pure, and undefiled, and will learn to be of powerful resolve and firm of purpose in all things. Let them not jest and trifle, but earnestly advance unto their goals, so that in every situation they will be found resolute and firm. A challenge that faces each believer is to find ways in which to serve the cause. Neither the local nor national representatives of the community, no matter how elaborate the plans, or persistent their appeals, or sagacious their counsels, nor even the guardian himself, however much he may yearn for this consummation, can decide where the duty of the individual lies, or to supplant him in the discharge of that task. The individual alone must assess its character, consult his conscience, prayerfully consider all its aspects, and manfully struggle against the natural inertia that weighs him down in his effort to arise. In defining our path of service, however, we need to bear in mind that teaching is a duty enjoined upon all, for it is the individual who possesses the will to act as a teacher or not. No spiritual assembly, no teaching committee, no group of well-intentioned Baha'is, however much it may exert itself, may usurp the position occupied by the individual in this fundamental activity. We are urged by the Guardian to explore new channels for teaching and to make it the dominating passion of our lives. When stepping into the field of action, the individual is encouraged to be systematic and avoid freneticism. Systematization is a necessary mode of functioning animated by the urgency to act. The Universal House of Justice explains, while allowing for initiative and spontaneity, it suggests the need to be clear-headed, methodical, efficient, constant, balanced, and harmonious. In responding to the needs of the cause, the individual must make a conscious decision as to what he or she will do to serve the plan, and as to how, where, and when to do it. This determination enables the individual to check the progress of his actions and, if necessary, to modify the steps being taken. Becoming accustomed to such a procedure of systematic striving leads meaning and fulfillment to the lives of any Baha'i. For the high aims of the cause to be achieved, the initiative of each individual is to be harmonized and at times blended with the efforts of others in collective action. Shoghi Effendi states that it is through cooperation and continued exchange of thoughts and views that the cause can best safeguard and foster its interests. Individual initiative, personal ability, and resourcefulness, though indispensable, are, unless supported and enriched by the collective experiences and wisdom of the group, utterly incapable of achieving such a tremendous task. The friends are thus urged not to dissipate their efforts, but to seek after frank and mature and continuous deliberation to arrive at a common conclusion as to the most urgent requirements and needs of the hour, and having unified their views to strive to uphold and enforce them with promptitude, wholeheartedness, and understanding. Personal endeavor provides energy and resources to upbuild the community, to uphold the authority of its institutions, and to support local and regional plans and teaching projects. The need to harmonize one's initiative with collective action does not imply that the individual is to wait for others to act or be hindered by the doubts and concerns. Let him not wait for any directions, the guardian urges, or expect any special encouragement from the elected representatives of his community, nor be deterred by any obstacles which his relatives, his fellow citizens, may be inclined to place in his path, nor mind the censure of his critics or enemies. Be not grieved, is Baha'u'llah's own appeal, if thou performest it thyself alone. Perceived injustice or improper behavior by others is often seized upon as an excuse for inaction. Far from protesting or seeking to separate from the community, the individual should, in such instances, according to the guidance of Shoghi Effendi, overcome the impulse to withdraw and instead do which is right. Now that you see more clearly what is lacking in your own community, there is nothing to prevent you from arising and showing such an example, such a love and spirit of service, as to enkindle the hearts of your fellow Baha'is. Through example, efforts, and prayers, he concludes, an individual can bring about change. In accepting the responsibility for initiating action, we simultaneously recognize that every would-be warrior in the service of Baha'u'llah is opposed by a host of forces. Among these, the writings of Shoghi Effendi tell us, are gross materialism, the attachment to worldly things that enshrouds the souls of men, the fears and anxieties that distract their minds, the pleasures and dissipations that fill their time, the prejudices and animosities that darken their outlook, and the apathy and lethargy that paralyze their spiritual faculties. Overcoming such barriers requires perseverance and detachment. In addition, the individual draws upon his love for Baha'u'llah, the power of the covenant, the dynamics of prayer, the inspiration and education derived from regular reading and studying of the holy texts, and the transformative forces that operate upon his soul as he strives to behave in accordance with the divine laws and principles. The greatest obstacle to action may be the contemplation of personal limitation and weakness. The guardian calls upon the believers to cease looking at their own deficiencies, to have confidence in the divine assistance promised to them by Baha'u'llah, and strengthened and revived by such assurance to continue to toil till the very end of their lives. Perhaps the reason why you have not accomplished so much in the field of teaching is the extent you look upon your own weaknesses and inabilities to spread the message. Baha'u'llah and the Master have both urged us repeatedly to disregard our own handicaps and lay our whole reliance upon God. He will come to your help if we only arise and become an active channel for God's grace. The criterion is the extent to which we are ready to have the will of God operate through us. Stop to be conscious of your frailties, therefore. Have a perfect reliance upon God. Let your heart burn with a desire to serve His mission and proclaim His call, and you will observe how eloquence and power to change human hearts will come as a matter of course. Ultimately, it is through the willingness of the individual to sacrifice that initiative is reinforced by divine power, and the greatest sacrifice of all is the sacrifice of self, surrendering personal interests and desires for the things that pertain to God. Self-sacrifice extends even to the point of detachment from personal initiatives, where Shoghi Effendi observes that there is a difference between those who offer a service to the faith that they choose to provide and others who do whatever needs to be done. Attachment to one's own service devalues that service by placing personal opinions, ambitions, goals, beliefs, or actions ahead of the general welfare. In the Baha'i community, the will of the individual is subordinated to the common good. Initiative, therefore, is not the expression of individualism, but a properly channeled impulse on which social progress depends. In the statement, I serve, the emphasis is increasingly placed upon the word serve, while I is forgotten. As the individual arises in this pure spirit to act for the triumph of the cause and in service to humanity, the community is infused with a power that accelerates its advancement. Initiative is liberated from the anarchy of self-love to become an instrument of God's purpose for humanity. We should continually be establishing new bases for human happiness and creating and promoting new instrumentalities toward this end. How excellent, how honorable is man if he arises to fulfill his responsibilities. How wretched, how contemptible if he shuts his eyes to the welfare of society and wastes his precious life in pursuing his own selfish interests and personal advantages. Supreme happiness is man's, and he beholds the signs of God in the world and in the human soul if he urges on the steed of high endeavor in the arena of civilization and justice.